A $1.5 billion weapons deal. Fighter jets, hundreds of drones, advanced air defense systems. Sudan's military was about to receive one of the most powerful arms packages in recent African history, bought from Pakistan, financed by Saudi Arabia. And then, almost overnight, it was gone. Saudi Arabia pulled its money, Pakistan suspended the deal, and Sudan was left without the weapons it desperately needed to fight a war that has already become the world's worst humanitarian crisis. So, what actually happened? And why does this one cancelled arms deal matter far beyond Sudan's borders? Let's break it all down. To understand why this collapse is so significant, you first need to understand what this deal actually was. Pakistan and Sudan had agreed on a package reportedly worth $1.5 billion US dollars. It wasn't just a handful of weapons. This was a complete battlefield modernization program. The package included 10 Karakoram 8 light attack aircraft, known as the K-8, affordable, battle-proven jets designed for close air support and counterinsurgency operations. It also included more than 200 drones, a mix of reconnaissance drones and kamikaze loitering munitions designed to hunt supply convoys, artillery positions and forward command posts. On top of that, advanced air defense systems to shield Sudan's forces from enemy drones, Super Mushak trainer aircraft to rebuild Sudan's pilot pipeline, and, most significantly, several JF-17 Thunder multi-role fighter jets. The JF-17 would have been the crown jewel of the package. It's a combat aircraft co-developed by Pakistan and China, and it would have given Sudan long-range strike and air interception capabilities it simply does not have right now. For Sudan's military, officially called the Sudanese Armed Forces, this package was exactly what they needed. Since civil war broke out in April 2023 against the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, the army has struggled to match the RSF's increasingly sophisticated drone operations. This deal was meant to flip that balance. Here's where things get complicated. Pakistan doesn't have the financial firepower to simply hand over $1.5 billion worth of weapons on credit to a country in the middle of a war. Saudi Arabia was the one financing the deal, and without Riyadh's money, there is no deal. So when Saudi Arabia quietly signaled that Pakistan should cancel the arrangement immediately after withdrawing its financial backing, the whole package collapsed. One Pakistani security source directly confirmed this, stating that Saudi Arabia had told Islamabad to terminate the deal once the financing was off the table. But why would Saudi Arabia back out of a deal it had originally agreed? To support? The answer lies in a video that went viral in the wrong circles earlier this year. A Sudanese officer, Brigadier General Tariq al-Hadi Kajab, appeared in a video where he reportedly praised Iran, denounced Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and allegedly called on Tehran to launch attacks on Gulf desalination infrastructure. That last point is critical. Saudi Arabia's desalination plants are not just important. They are existential national infrastructure. They supply fresh water to millions of civilians and power major industrial operations across the kingdom. Calling on a hostile nation to attack them is not just provocative. For Riyadh, it was a red line. Kajab is reportedly linked to remnants of the former Omar al-Bashir network, the Islamist political movement that ruled Sudan for 3 decades before being overthrown in 2019. For Saudi Arabia, this was confirmation of something it had long feared: that hardline Islamist factions still have deep roots inside Sudan's military command structure. Factions that are not just ideologically hostile to Riyadh, but willing to publicly call for attacks on Saudi soil. Riyadh has spent years distancing itself from actors aligned with Iran or militant Islamist movements. Financing weapons for an army that includes officers making those kinds of statements was suddenly politically impossible. Reports also indicate that Western governments were quietly pressuring Saudi Arabia to avoid deeper military involvement in Sudan, given the scale of the humanitarian catastrophe the war has already caused. The result: Saudi Arabia held a decisive meeting with Sudanese officials in Riyadh, concluded the risk was too high, and pulled out, Pakistan has been on an aggressive push to become a major global arms exporter. After the 2025 India-Pakistan confrontation brought fresh international attention to Pakistani military technology, Islamabad began marketing its jets, drones, and missile systems as combat-tested, affordable and available without the political strings often attached to Western exports. This Sudan deal was supposed to be Pakistan's showcase, a headline-grabbing $1.5 billion win that would signal to Africa and the Middle East that Pakistani weapons are worth buying. Now that deal is gone, and with it, a significant piece of Pakistan's credibility as a reliable arms exporter. The JF-17, in particular, has struggled to attract large international orders despite years of export campaigns. A successful Sudan deal could have changed that narrative. Instead, it has exposed how vulnerable Pakistan's export strategy is to third-party political dynamics, because many potential customers need external financing, and that financing always comes with political conditions. Pakistan is reportedly pursuing a separate weapons deal with Libya's eastern military forces, suggesting Islamabad will keep pushing into these markets. But the Sudan episode is a costly lesson. Sudan's civil war is no longer just a domestic conflict. It has become a proxy battleground for Red Sea power politics. Sudan sits along one of the world's most strategically critical maritime corridors, the Red Sea route connecting the Gulf, the Horn of Africa, and the Suez Canal. Who controls Sudan's politics matters enormously to Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other regional players. Sudan's armed forces have repeatedly accused the United Arab Emirates of secretly supplying weapons to the RSF, the very force they are fighting. The UAE denies this, but the accusation has made the war feel increasingly like an indirect rivalry between Gulf powers. Saudi Arabia has traditionally backed Sudan's official military, but this episode suggests Riyadh is now recalibrating. Rather than doubling down on Sudan's army, which contains factions openly hostile to Gulf interests, Saudi Arabia appears to be stepping back. That recalculation could have profound consequences. Without reliable external backing, Sudan's military will find it far harder to secure modern weapons, financing, or diplomatic support. At the end of this story, one thing stands out clearly. In Sudan's war, political loyalties and regional rivalries now matter more than weapons themselves. Saudi Arabia didn't withdraw because the weapons were bad. Pakistan didn't lose the deal because of a technical failure. This deal collapsed because of a single video, a brigadier general's dangerous words, and the complex web of Red Sea geopolitics that now surrounds every decision made about Sudan. The war continues. The rapid support forces keep flying there, drones, and Sudan's military is still waiting for an air superiority it may never receive. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe and hit the bell. We cover the geopolitical stories that the headlines only scratch the surface of. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.